They say you don't call on Google Hangouts, you don't speed into the bike, you don't go respond to those work emails, and you don't mess around with Jim.
That was quick.
Yeah, it was. I found it was like I like writing the intro stuff, but then it was like it's kind of long, and like we're kind of at the point where we're starting to repeat us. So it's like I don't like it's tough to make new rhymes for the same people. So it's like we'll just keep it we'll get it down to that, and then hopefully we'll get onto like the YouTube clips or the reels, and you know.
Okay, at some point, hopefully. Yeah. Hey guys, guess what? We're back with episode 7. I want to say this may be 8, and I may have just mistyped that, but we'll fix that in post if that's the case. So we're back to the turntable. Brooklyn, I think we have a couple of really good albums to talk about today.
We do. This is a excuse me, a very stacked week. I don't know what just happened there. But yeah, we have some all-time greats. We have some first time listens. I think we talked about last time how there was like a big discrepancy in length. We have one album here that's like an hour 15 minutes. We have one that's like less than half an hour. So yeah, we'll see how they hold up.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring in our first guest. That being Jack Pinchuk. Jack, I know that you're not feeling that great today, but thank you so much for still hopping on with us.
Oh, no problem. I'm really excited. There were a couple albums here that I hadn't heard before and was really excited to listen to. So yeah, always good to listen to some new music.
And just for the people, what did you bring today, Jack?
I brought Pearl Jam's 10 to the table today.
All right. Let's bring on our next guest, our first second time guest, first recurring guest, Amaru Moses. How's it going, buddy?
Very excited to be back. I had a blast last time, and I'm very, very excited to talk about my album and talk about your album too. Again, it was a good time.
All right, good to hear. Good to hear. Because last time was actually one of my favorite episodes that we've done so far. Because there was a good discussion and a lot of disagreement.
It was fun.
Yeah. What did you bring for us today?
Everybody got the shit on railways.
Yes, we did. Very much so. I brought an album from maybe my favorite R&B singer ever, Musiq Soulchild. His second album, Juslisten.
Nice. So unfortunately, we were supposed to have a third guest, that being Cameron Holtzman. Unfortunately, some family things got in the way, so we appreciate you having wanted to come on. We'll get you on eventually. Cameron had brought to the table Marianas Trench's album Astoria. Brooklyn, what did you bring today?
I brought Red Hot Chili Peppers' 12th studio album. This is Unlimited Love.
And I brought Great Hits by the hip-hop duo Shredders. So this is going to be a really good discussion today, I think. We are going to be starting with Jack's album. Jack, tell us more about 10 by Pearl Jam.
Yeah, so this is Pearl Jam's debut album, and it still stands as my favorite of all time. It has everything I love about Pearl Jam, including like 5 of my top 10 songs from them, probably. Like you get all-timers like Black, Even Flow, Once, Why Go. I love every song on this album. Every single one. Jeremy, how did I fucking forget Jeremy? Every song on this album feels like it tells a story, and that's something I love about music, is when a song can tell a story to you in like just like such a short time. Every song in this here is an absolute banger. There's no skips for me.
Cool. I'll start us off with this one. This is really good. This is a great album. I do think that it is a little front-loaded,
That's
to be
fair.
completely honest. all of the best songs on this album are in like the first half of the album. Um, and then Release at the end is also a great song.
Mhm.
I still think that one of my favorite songs of all time is on this album. I'll save that one for the reveal of that for when we get to favorite and least favorite songs. But like you once just like kicks it off so well, like the energy, the passion, um, those guitars. Oh God, they're so good in Once. Um, I will say the one problem I always have with Pearl Jam though is Eddie Vedder's diction. Uh, it's hard to make out some of the words quite often, to be completely honest, especially with even flow. Uh, but it's still really well composed. I love the atmospheric uh, sounds and quality of Black. I think that the passion behind that one is fantastic. I think Jeremy is such a devastating listen. Um,
Yeah.
like, yeah, uh, that one's to the viewers. That one is kind of hard to listen to when you know the context of it.
Especially
Um,
after you watch the music video.
yeah, oh, that honestly, legit, one of my favorite music videos of all time. It's phenomenal.
100%.
Um, And then unfortunately, you get to Oceans, Porch, Garden, and Deep, which are all really good songs still. It's just that I don't think that they quite match the highs that the first half of the album has. Overall, though, I think it is still a really great album.
Yeah, no, that's
Andrew, am I doing your job for you and asking if any of us have
Mm,
heard this before?
I'm so sorry. I'm such an idiot. Has anyone listened to this album beforehand? Raise your hand.
I have, yes.
I've heard one song off this album because I am a 90s baby and have watched millions of MTV about the 90s going over things, and I've seen and heard about Jeremy a lot. But
yeah.
I've never actually listened to Pearl Jam ever. This is the first
Wow.
time I've ever listened to any Pearl Jam that isn't
Really?
the snippets of Jeremy when I was growing up in the 90s and 2000s.
Not even flow. Not you like you didn't.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing.
Okay.
Never listened to Pearl Jam. Knew who they were. Knew of Eddie Vedder. Knew of Jeremy. Never listened to a second past that though.
Okay. Well,
Wow.
I want to hear your thoughts on this one then.
Not surprisingly, but funnily enough, I have basically the exact same viewpoint you do, where after Jeremy, it does go down, but from Once and all the way through the majority of the album, even after Jeremy, I was into this shit. Eddie Vedder has soul. I was like, what is he saying? I don't know, but I'm feeling it. And like, I don't know who your drummer is, but that motherfucker rocks. Like, he is dope as shit. They're dope as shit. The production is what got me first and foremost. Like, I don't know who I surprised, but I surprised the hell out of somebody in our music league. I think it was shit, I can't remember. I fucking love Korn Freak on a Leash. I think that
that was so weird.
Yeah.
I love Freak on a Leash. And from once I hit it, I was like, oh, I got Freak on a Leash vibes here. This shit bangs. Let's go. But I'm gonna agree. Well, after Jeremy, it started to get to the reason why I don't listen to rock as much, because a little slower. It sounded repetitive to me, and that is probably only because I don't listen to the genre as much. But I was still really much into it. I was pretty into it. But that first half, I was rocking with it. I was rocking with it a lot.
I will agree with the assessment that it is more top heavy. However, I do not like it's not as steep a drop off for me once you get past Jeremy. Like with Release, Garden, Oceans, I still thoroughly enjoy every single one of those songs, although I do agree they are a good deal slower than everything that came before it, and it does feel a little awkward of of a transition from the first half to the second half of the album, but I still thoroughly enjoy every song.
So yeah, I would kind of agree with Jack in that like the second half doesn't take as big of a dip as I think everybody hard to say. I had listened to this album whenever we had Jack on set list, and I remember just loving the album. I think on that second half, I think Garden is my favorite, especially like you get the nice payoff from Eddie in the chorus, and it just really kind of fills out in that moment. I'll talk about Even Flow. It's a fucking great song. Like it was on Guitar Hero 3, but it has that really nice groove. And there's something just very satisfying about it and whatnot. There's actually a cover band at work that has been playing Alive as their second to last song. So I've gotten to appreciate that one even more, and just kind of how it kind of builds toward the end. And kind of like what Ru was saying, I think the drums are doing a lot of incredible work, especially in that song. Like Black is another great one. Like the first half definitely is the more diverse, or it's like the most differentiating production wise. I can understand the second half argument where like it does become like a rock sort of jam, but that's up my alley, because like when I hear these songs, I envision kind of just like seeing them at a show and just imagining like what the vibe would be. But yeah, it's crazy that this was their first album, and like maybe I'm talking to the wrong people, but I don't know if this gets talked about in the same regard as like the Blue album, as like just an all-time opening record for a band. Like,
Yeah.
is that like does it have that stature?
Yeah, I would say so. I still think that 10 is probably regarded as Pearl Jam's best album.
Mhm.
Yeah.
At least in like the general the sphere.
I will say this: I had no idea where it was in this discography, and when Jack said it was their debut, I was like, "Oh shit! No wonder they're fucking legendary."
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Quick thing, because I wanted to figure it out. The drummer on this album is Matt Chamberlain, and then he never recorded another album with them. So this is like the one time that he was part of the band. But no, you're right. The instrumentation in general on this is just like absolutely fantastic. And you said it before, the production is top notch. It just sounds great. Like it's condensed, but it still sounds epic in a sense. Any last thoughts on 10?
I didn't mention it before, but I'll get into it now real quick. I fucking love Eddie Vedder's voice. I could just listen to the last little bit of Black or all of Even Flow over and over again. Never get bored listening to it. It's just I love his voice. It's one of my favorite vocalists in music for me.
I would probably go ahead.
I was gonna say I concur. Like again, even if like sometimes he gets into what people don't like about Bob Dylan, I like this about Eddie Vedder. Like, because I don't like Bob Dylan's voice, so I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're saying, and I don't like how you sound. Eddie Vedder is the gravelness and just the passion that comes out. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if I don't know what you're saying. You sound epic when you're doing it, so I'm good with that. Yeah, go ahead.
I do want to talk about like one last thing that I don't think that we haven't brought up now that I'm thinking about it, is some of the lyrics.
That you had to read?
Yeah, the one thing you had to read. You had to follow the bouncing ball. A lot of these are just like very, very emotional, deep lyrics. Alive being like a song about a son finding out that his father is in actuality his stepdad, and like there's like little things like that. It's just like I feel like the lyrics dig a little deeper than I often hear when it comes to lyrics, except for one, which I was like, I appreciate what you're doing. I think you're going a little bit too far with what you're doing, though. So
I'll say the one lyric that always sticks in my head after I listen to this album is it's the most like innocuous lyric. Like on the surface you don't really think about it, but once you know the meaning behind it, Jeremy spoke in class today is haunting.
Yeah.
That one line just sticks in my head every time I listen to this album.
All right, let's go to scores and favorite and least favorite songs. Jack, what is your score, your favorite and least favorite song on the album?
My score, it's my favorite album. It's 10 out of 10.
10? Like, great.
Yeah. No pun intended. This
intended? I'm just gonna leave.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Can I kick you out for that?
Yeah.
I mean, sure. Why?
Yeah, no. As for favorite song, it goes back and forth between Jeremy and Black, but I have to go Black. It honestly brings me to tears quite often, and yeah, no, it's hard to pick a least favorite, but if I had to, probably Deep. Like, it's not like one that I dislike by any means, but just of all the banger after banger songs on this album, it's the one that I just go back to the least.
Okay, which one was that again?
Deep.
I think I just missed. Okay, Brooklyn, let's go to you next.
Yeah, I would give this a 9. I think that's probably it's a pretty fair score. Like, there's a couple of misses, but like everything else, like what is like Even Flow, Alive, Black, Jeremy, Porch, Deep, Release, like they're all great ones. My favorite, I'd probably I'll give love to Porch. I just like the energy of that song. But I would also give honorable mention to Alive and Even Flow. My least favorite, I think, would be Oceans. I would say probably the placement as well, but it also kind of just like it's in between Jeremy and Porch, which are two incredible songs. So it just doesn't hold up the stature as the songs between them.
I'm giving this an 8.7. That first half is so good, and it's mostly because of the consistency. Like, all of these other songs are great, but those first couple songs are just so good that it kind of overshadows the second half of the album for me. And also because Deep, Deep was like the one song that I was just like, I don't like this one. It felt a little bit too on the nose. But otherwise, I still think that it's good, but it's just compared to all of the other ones, it was just like easily my least favorite one. Whereas Black is one of my favorite songs of all time. That song, I think, is just utterly haunting, from like the vocal performance, the production, the lyrics, the instrumentation. It's just an absolute like gut punch of a song. And that the closing of that song is just absolutely phenomenal. Rue, let's go to you to close this one out.
So my score is my score just because rock is usually not my genre, but this is really good to me. I give it a solid 7.5. I really enjoyed this album, really listened to it. I'm gonna start with my least favorite, because I want to know, and I wish Brooklyn was here because he may know this too, but I'm gonna preface it by saying, does anybody remember the Chappelle show skit where he had John Mayer and he had John Mayer play Guns N' Roses, and seeing how white people just dance slowly like that, yes, and like how white people dance? Yeah, that's what Release made me think of. Okay. And Release is my least favorite because I heard that and I immediately went there and I was like, I can't do nothing to this. And then as the song kept going and going and going, and then the no singing and then the music changed, and I was just like, I need this to be over. Like, not for me. I need this to be over. So that was my least favorite. My favorite, once hit, right? It came in, it hit. And then that guitar hit on Even Flow and the drums hit on Even Flow, and Eddie Vedder was going. Even Flow is easily my favorite one. Nice. Why Go was close too as well. I will say, again, because y'all have mentioned it, I really don't know the lyrics. I couldn't figure them out. I couldn't understand what it said. So I couldn't get into the lyrics as deeply as y'all did and like get it. And while I listened to it, I was like, they're probably saying some really good shit here. And if I knew it, I'd probably score it even higher. But I'm just can't do it. I know Jeremy is a gut punch. I always heard about it whenever MTV and VH1 started talking about Columbine, and then they go there and then be like, "Yep." So, but this is a solid album.
All right, great way to start, I think. Let's move on to my album, that being Great Hits by Shredders. I'm going to ask the question now: has anyone ever heard of this before?
No.
No one's ever heard this album before. Cool, because I'm going to tell you all something. I had never listened to this album before I suggested it. I knew two of the songs on this album, those being Vanilla Isis and Ayaya, but I had just never dug into the album as a whole until I suggested it for this episode. So Shredders is a Minnesota-based rap duo from the Doomtree collective, those being POS and Sims, with production by usual Doomtree producers, Laserbeak and Paper Tiger. I have listened to Doomtree before. I really like Doomtree a lot. If anyone knows who Dessa is part of this collective as well. And I had always just heard like great things about Shredders as a duo. They've only ever released 2 albums. But as I said, I've heard Vanilla Isis and Ayaya, and I was like really into it. Because those songs bang, but they are deeply political. I'm not a very political person, but some of those lines really were clever and hit really hard. So because of that, I wanted to bring this one to the table, and I really like this a lot. It's like 21 minutes. It's here, it makes its point, and it leaves. I really like the production on most of these songs, especially Young Bros, and It Was Written Again. I think Sims and POS are just both really fantastic lyricists and rappers in general. And you can tell that there is a lot of righteous fury behind these performances, combined with just like really intense, just banger beats. And I thought, I kind of did wish it was a little bit longer, and I do think that there is one particular song on the album that just doesn't quite compare to the others. But in general, I really liked this album a lot.
Okay, I'm going to go first. I'm glad that I gave this a second listen because my review after the first listen would have been extremely harsh. The first time through, and even the first time through, I found the production to be very flat, very generic, and I felt like it was doing a disservice to the incredible lyrics. Like I definitely got that political sense that you're talking about. My favorite line is the lime LaCroix.
Yeah, that's a great line.
But yeah, I'll tell you a story because
you guys got as much flavor as a lime LaCroix.
I'm gonna cut in right now because not for me.
No,
not for me.
So I got through and I was like, man, like this is like the production's like very generic and like it doesn't like I wasn't able to point out Shredders from everybody else. And then I heard Run the Jewels and I was like, oh, they got Run the Jewels on this album. And I looked at my phone and it was just like the Run the Jewels song that came on after the album. And I was like, oh, not only that, but this is only 21 minutes. It got better on second listen. Suburban Bass, I really enjoy. Shut Up Your Face is good. I think it's chips or it was written again in one of the two. But I would say like half of them have their own kind of feel, but I'll stop there.
Okay.
I'll go next. I'll go next. So yeah, the lime LaCroix. That no, I was not a fan of that line. I will say though, the first thing I did when I saw this, and I was going to ask you, Andrew, but then I decided I should just look it up. I was like, are these guys white? First thing I want to know.
Okay,
that's fair. One is
Minnesota. Like,
then you said Minnesota, and I was like, I have to look this up. Is it a black dude or white dude? Here's the thing. I listened to it, and I was like, this is good. They are clearly talented. They are clearly great lyricists. And I kind of agree with Brooklyn on the production. From once the first song was done all the way through the end, there is this trend of underground lyricists and underground groups, especially when they're political. They run the risk of sounding like Try Hard Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah. And
I was trying really hard not to go there because I know I listened to a couple of underground rappers and then stopped listening to after a while because it kind of gets hard because it's like they're really they are clearly talented, but it seems to take much more effort for them than somebody like a JID or I had the white in my head, but like Bubba Sparks when he came out felt effortless, and Asher Roth, he kind of did that, but he still felt a little bit more effortless. And these guys throughout it was like, have you ever heard Riz Ahmed rap? He's clearly talented, but he has the same thing. He because he's on the Immigrant song on the Hamilton mixtape. And every time I listen to him, he sticks out. And then I was like, oh, yeah, that's Riz. He's really good, but he's an actor. But he can rap, but he's an actor first. And I had the same thing with these guys, where I was like, y'all are clearly talented, but you're clearly underground because the production is like, it was kind of Run the Jewels light. Like, you putting a lot of work into it, but you don't have the same, like, technology. You don't have the same access to whatever everybody else does. But y'all are putting together a lot of really good songs here, but I could not get past y'all sound like y'all are fighting and y'all sound like y'all are trying to really push this message, and you do not sound as effortless as other artists who have blew up have. And you remind me a lot of those other guys that I've heard, and unfortunately, usually a lot of them I hear like that are white. So, but again, it was a solid listen. I did enjoy it for the most part, so.
I'd be very curious because I almost picked the Collective album that these guys are a part of, Doomtree. I'm just kind of wondering what the outcome would have been had I picked the Collective as a whole and not just the duo. We can figure that out at some other time in life. But Jack, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one I hadn't listened to until today. Just life had been busy. But I listened to it today and I had a blast with it. Suburban Bass was an instant hit for me. Like right out of the gate, I was in, and honestly, the album felt like it was over too quickly for me. Like, yes, it gets in, it gets out, it says what it wants to say. I could have went another 20 minutes with this album. It was thoroughly enjoyed like the vast majority of these songs. I think the only one like that I didn't like love might have been Young Bros, but like I still like the song. Still excellent, but like I don't know.
Yeah, fair. Any last thoughts before we wrap this one up? Cool. I'm going to go first then. Screw You, Jack. Young Bros is my favorite song on this album.
I'm sorry.
Before I had listened to the album a second time, I would probably said Vanilla Isis, because I feel like that's the one where like the lyrics kind of cut the deepest. They're like more to the bone. But there's just something about like the song as a whole for Young Bros. Like this is probably my favorite production on the album. It's probably my favorite of like both of their presentation and their flow. So yeah, Young Bros is my favorite. The one that I could skip every time probably would be Chips. I just thought that was kind of the one that stood out as the overall weakest. I was like, I'm not feeling this one as much. For me, this is going to be an 8, like solid 8. No higher, no lower. So I really enjoyed this album. Let's go to Rue.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bar. Easily Young Bros is my favorite. It's the song that stuck out when it was playing. I was like, this is y'all flowing. This is nobody feels like they're putting in a bunch of effort. The production is really nice. The flow is great. This sounds like y'all at your best on this song. For me, I thought we were actually going to have the same skippable one, but no. The one that feels so out of place to me here is Shot Up Your Face Part 2. Especially with the chorus. And I was just like, this doesn't sound anything like anything else. And it kind of, are you doing, is that the wobble beat? Like that's what I think that's the wobble. Where did this come from? But I'm still giving it a solid 7. I enjoyed listening to it. I thought they had a lot of skill. Again, I just could not get past when you sound like you're putting a lot of effort, especially into political lyrics. You can't get into preachy territory, and there were times it got there, and then times when it wasn't that way, and why I stuck with it. So
I respect that. Jack.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give this album a second listen. Maybe I'll have a different take after the second one, but as of right now, Young Bros, nothing against the song at all. I don't know. Maybe I was just distracted when I was listening to it. I don't know, but that one was just like the least great to me. I don't know. I'll give it another listen, and I'll message you when I do, and I'll tell you. Favorite though, I mean, right now it's probably Vanilla Isis. That song has some absolutely incredible lyrics. Some really I love most of the album, but Vanilla Isis stands out to me as my favorite right now.
Cool. What's your score?
I'd give it a solid 8. It's it could go up it could definitely go up. I don't think it's got much of a possibility of going down for me, but I can see it going up. Right now, 8.
And Brooklyn, let's go to you.
I would give this a 7 out of 10. Predominantly for the lyricism. My favorite song I think would be Suburban Bass. Of the songs, it has my favorite production. I think the drum kit's really good. Kind of captures you right away. I'll agree with Jack. My least favorite is Young Bros. I don't know if it's like a loon or a bird or something in the mix, but there's that high screech, and that just throws me off every time.
Sorry, I love production that adds that kind of sound. I don't know why that, like, whenever you add a bird or anything like that into your production, for some reason, I always love it. Maybe I'm just a nerd.
It sounds like something LP would do on a Run the Jewels album. That's
right?
why I was like, yes, let's go.
All right, so let us move into the next album, that being Brooklyn's album. Brooklyn, tell us about Unlimited Love.
All right. Well, I brought a good prop because I actually have this on vinyl.
Nice.
I kind of came into this album on a fluke. Like Red Hot Chili Peppers have always been like my favorite, like A tier, or like kind of like they're not in my realm of all time favorites, but I always try to keep up with them whenever they put out new stuff. I like this album in particular because it was the second time that John Frusciante had come back to the band. He left in the mid-90s. That's when Dave Navarro came in, and then he left again in the 2000s, and Josh Klinghoffer took over as lead guitarist, and there was a stretch of albums there where they were like a little more rock forward. But then John came back for this one, and this album in particular I found was the most differentiating. There was a lot more different sounds. For example, like Black Summer and Here Ever After kind of carry that same sound that they had with Josh Klinghoffer, which is like the more rock, and like the bass isn't as funky as like Flea would normally have it. But then you get like Aquatic Mouth Dance, which was I think was the first single that came off of this record, and it was the first time that I had noticed Red Hot Chili Peppers really step into like a Mardi Gras kind of theme. They used horns quite well in that song, and then Flea's just having an incredible time in that one. I would say the litmus test of this album though is Poster Child. If you like that song, you'll probably like the album. But if you don't like that song, I can't imagine that you would like the album, because it's very similar to another song that a lot of people in this community hate. Some of us love. But I just like all the different kind of styles. Like Chad Smith has a really good drum performance in The Great Apes. You get like Bastards of Your Light is a really fun one. White Braids and Pillow Chair is the closest that I've heard them go to like indie rock, and especially how they kind of like do the double time kind of pickup near the end. One Way Traffic, he's doing an entirely different delivery. Like he's normally like I think it's like a non-rhotic speaker where he doesn't really pronounce his R's, but then there's a bunch of times here where he's pronouncing the R's as to kind of create a different character. But then you get like Let Him Cry, She's a Lover, and It's Only Natural are kind of the more traditional like Red Hot Chili Peppers kind of funk. And then Tangelo, I think, is just a very pretty way to kind of end the album. It's a very graceful landing. But I'm curious as to what everyone thinks, because I could see the argument that one, it's long, and two, it's a bit all over the place.
Can I go first here?
Of course you can.
Because funnily enough, by the end, I was like, a lot of that sounds exactly the same. A lot of the same stuff over and over and over again. However, it reminded me why I always kind of like Red Hot Chili Peppers. They're just groovy as hell, man. Anthony Kiedis is just a groove. I can't think of any other word but groovy ass dude. So it reminded me simultaneously why I always kind of mess with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but why I never listened to it, because they got their own weird little style. Anthony Kiedis' voice is kind of like nobody else's. And so if I hear a song off this album and it plays, I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to rock to it. I'm going to groove to it. But then it started getting to 10, 11, song 12, song 13, song 14. And it was kind of like Pearl Jam, where, all right, it's starting to get to the stuff that I like. It's just, again, not my genre much, but I kind of started broadening my horizons music-wise by starting to go to anything that sounds like hip-hop or R&B a little bit. And Red Hot Chili Peppers always had a little bit of like the grooves, the rhythms. Anthony Kiedis goes back from rhyming to singing to mixing the two. So I really enjoyed listening to this album front to back. I had to drive down and go rent a tuxedo, so that was my listen the whole 40-minute drive back and like 20 minutes on the way up. And the whole time I was like, this is why Red Hot Chili Peppers are so great. I'm having a groovy ass time here. But like by the last few songs, I'm like, how many I got left though? Like, damn, how many I got left?
That's fair.
So I couldn't really like. I have certain songs that definitely stuck out, and I'm gonna say that at the end. A couple of the ones you mentioned, but towards the end, if you like played one that wasn't a favorite or probably wasn't one of the first three, I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference between that one and any of the other 12 or 13 songs on the album.
Jack, I want to go to you next.
So Red Hot Chili Peppers has always been a band that like I've enjoyed. I've just never really listened to a ton of their music. And I think I get why, because like I like them in small doses, and then this album is over an hour long. So it did get a little repetitive to me towards the end. However, there were still a couple standout songs like in the last few tracks. Like the Heavy Wing is definitely up there for me, but honestly, it like they're a band that I don't listen to a lot. Like I've heard Californication, I've heard a couple of their songs, but like there I feel like I like them more in small doses. This album just it wasn't fully for me, but there were a few songs I can't deny I really enjoyed. It was just too much of a good thing, I guess.
Bar, have you heard this album before?
Son of a bitch! I keep doing that. No, I haven't heard this album before. Has anyone else? No.
No,
Cool.
no.
I will do that for the next one. I freaking promise. I need someone else to do this for me. Rue, you're going to be hired for every single episode after this. So Jack is probably going to be the only person who doesn't understand what I'm about to say when I say this. But there are points in this album where I think it suffers from ray of light syndrome. Where
no, don't you know? This is not ray of light bad. It has its flaws, but it's not ray of light bad.
No. Let me explain. There are like two moments in this album, like two stretches, where everything is like 5.5 minutes long.
Oh,
yeah.
And it constantly hit a point where I was really nervous that every single song was about to be 5 minutes long.
I mean, to be fair, that stretch is only 3 songs from Poster Child to It's Only Natural, and then it teams itself out until the heavyweight.
Oh, then it does it a second time, where everything once again was about 5 minutes long. So like, there were points where I was like, "Oh my god, why is this album an hour 15 minutes?" Because I kind of agree. There are points where it starts to all meld together. There are like certainly high points on this album. Red Hot Chili Peppers are definitely one of those bands where I don't think that there's ever going to be an album that there's not at least a handful of really great stuff. But after a while, some of them will really. Here's something that I really like is that I really like the final stretch because that's when it started to differentiate for me. Starting with Veronica, like that's when we started to get like the Californication side, the Under the Bridge side. And I'm like, if we moved some of those songs to other spots, like towards the beginning or in the middle of this, it would just flow a little bit better. It'd be more cohesive. But you don't really get that until the final stretch, which I can understand why you would do that. I just don't think that it works here.
I want to pipe in because I do agree with you there. I think a good swap, just kind of listening or looking at the track listing right now. Like if you switch One Way Traffic and put it in on the number 2 spot, I think it would pair really well, like right after Black Summer.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there are some songs that and my other big problem with this, unfortunately, and this is going to get me so much hate, I already know it's about coming. Sometimes lyrically, it feels like this was co-written by Pat Monahan of Train, where I'm like, I feel like you're just throwing sentences out there that rhyme and there's no real cohesion there. It's like, well, this sentence sounds cool and it rhymes with this, so we're just going to throw that in there. And I'm like, yeah, but it sounds really bad and kind of stupid. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this album. It's good. It's very good. And that's Red Hot Chili Peppers for you. This sure is a Red Hot Chili Peppers album.
Oh yeah. My last question before we get into scores and favorite and least favorite. I'm curious about everyone's opinion on Poster Child because like it's very glaring that it is similar to We Didn't Start the Fire. And I'm just wondering, like, does it hurt it, or is it kind of like Like, do you guys think it's kind of like their interpretation on that kind of song? Like, I think the rhythm in it is really cool. Like that bass line is very simple and yet effective at the same time.
I've never listened to "We Didn't Start the Fire" past "We Didn't Start the Fire." That's all I know.
Fair.
So
I know I've heard the song, but I can't remember anything other than "We Didn't Start the Fire."
Okay, good.
Exactly.
So, here's all you have to know about that song. Don't listen to the Fall Out Boy version. All right, that's all you need to know.
This is the second time today I've heard you talk shit about Fall Out Boy because I listened to the fucking 20 through 11 of All of Our So, dude, stop with the Fall Out Boy slander.
Look, their first album, their first breakthrough album, Under the Cork Tree, awesome. Some of the songs on this new one, awesome.
Folie à Deux, also an incredible record from Fall Out Boy.
Folie à Deux is cool, actually. After Folie à Deux, though, like, some of Save Rock and Roll is cool, and then just...
Could someone get me Caleb Bowman on the phone?
Also, I've only listened to their singles, and I love their singles, but I don't listen to their albums, so I'm just talking shit.
Fair. Okay. I'm gonna save myself here. Brooklyn, score, favorite, least favorite.
All right, so this gets every bit of a 7.9. It's not good enough to be an 8, but I believe that they're having a lot of fun with this. My favorite is actually going to be "She's a Lover," because it is the song that it's a song that most encapsulates John Frusciante coming back into the band. You really get to hear his harmonies, his kind of distinctive guitar playing, and the mix where he's really just kind of like an accent piece for mostly Flea, but for everyone else. He kind of get the sense where he doesn't like to be like the center of attention. And then my least favorite is actually going to be "Veronica." I respect the production style, but like the whole like underwater thing just didn't sit with me.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. See, here's the reason I held off on Poster Child, because I'm split between that and Black Summer as the best song on the album, which is weird considering the Pat Monahan reference I made earlier, because Poster Child got a lot of those kind of lyrics in them.
Yeah.
But that groove is so good. So wow, I'm not usually this person, but I'm guessing I'm gonna go with Poster Child for my favorite because of the vibes. Easily least favorite was One Way Traffic. Hands down, that was the worst song for me, because I don't know what happened to like whatever like he was doing. He kind of slipped into like 20-year-old White Valley girl trying to do rap.
But I think he's intentionally trying to do that though.
Well, then
I think he's trying to create a character in that song.
Well, if that's the case, I hated it. And even just lyrically, I'm like, dude, what are you saying? This is really bad. I really disliked One Way Traffic. I might be a little harsh with my rating, but like my gut has been telling me ever since I listened to it, it's a 6.7. It's good, got great moments. I just don't think it comes together as a whole. Rue, let's go to you next.
I like One Way Traffic because it got us out of the funk and what the hell of white braids and pillow hair. Because I was my least favorite as I was listening to, I was like, I got to figure out what song out of this like really, really long second half is it. And I just remember driving, hearing the chorus of White Braids and Pillow Hair, and I was just like, what is happening here? And I was like, thank God for One Way Traffic, because it picked that shit back up. So that is my least favorite. By the end, I was like, all right, which one of the first 2 or 3 songs are my favorite? And then today, going through each one of them again, I was like, wait a second, nope, it's Poster Child. I love the vibe. I love the choice he does musically and his cadence, the way he wants to sing when it then goes, flips it up in the chorus. Definitely my favorite song is Poster Child, 100%. But shout out to the Black Summer Here Ever After and Aquatic Mouth Dance. a great three-song start. Great three-song start.
Aquatic Mouth Dance, I think, is the best Flea bass line of the album.
Yeah, it's up there.
Oh, score.
Yes.
6.2.
Okay.
6.2.
We're staying positive.
I enjoyed it. I did enjoy the album.
All right, Jack, let's keep that positivity rolling.
Yeah. Overall, I like the album. Like I said, it's just too much. It's just too much Red Hot Chili Peppers for me. That being said, my favorite song is one I shouted out earlier. It came towards the end of the album, and it felt like a breath of fresh air to me. The Heavy Wing. I love that song. I can't really explain really why. I'm not as like knowledgeable about music as the rest of y'all, but like
May I?
Yeah,
because when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, it makes sense. It sounds like them doing Pearl Jam. It's
you know what?
They've been
you're kind of not wrong.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You know what? That makes a lot of sense to me. The Heavy Wing, though, that is the standout for me. Bar, I'm on the same page with you. One Way Traffic, easy worst song on this. It was just grating to me. It wasn't the vibe. Overall, though, I do like the album. I'm giving it a solid 6.5, 6.5. It's good. I don't think I'll listen to the full album again anytime soon, but like I will listen to a few songs here and there, like the Heavy Wing. So and even Poster Child as well. Like I did enjoy the vibe of that song quite a bit. So yeah, no, I will listen to some of it again, just not the full album anytime soon.
Okay. Well, with that, we're going to go to Amaru's album. Amaru, tell us about Juslisten.
All right. So when I was getting invited back, I knew I was going to do Musiq Soulchild. His first two albums for me kind of actually are like one long album because I listen to the songs. I don't listen to the albums. I just listen to the songs. And it got to the point where I couldn't remember which songs were on what. I just remember things like there is a song on Juslisten called Caught Up. That is a direct sequel to a song called 17. I'm going to stop here. Andrew, your job.
Has anyone heard this album before?
No.
Cool. I've heard of this album. I'm
going to continue now. So yes, Caught Up is
wait till you're done.
Yeah, Caught Up is a direct sequel to this song called 17 on his first album called I Just Want to Sing. And as you can see, Juslisten is like one word. I Just Want to Sing is also one word. Anyway, so when I went and looked at them, I was like, all right, here's I Just Want to Sing. And then I went to Juslisten and I was like, oh shit, it's 19 songs. I did not realize that. And I went back to I Just Want to Sing, and there's one song that I just don't like. And then I skipped. And then I looked at Juslisten and I was like, not one fucking skip on this album. Not one. He is my favorite R&B singer, even if it's just based off of these two albums. His other ones, like I don't like as much. But to me, if you are relatable as a singer, like I think I mentioned it last time. I love They Say because John Legend's part makes me feel like I can sing. Musiq has range for days. Like if you've ever listened to Love, if you ever listen to Don't Change, when he hits those high notes in studio, it is one that everybody tries to hit that high note, right? But the way he stays in this pocket, he stays in this really nice pocket of just sounding soulful and like you coming from the heart. And every single song is basically two parts. And that's why it's 19 songs. If you've ever had any relationship ever, there is a song on this album for you. If you are just getting into a relationship, it's newness. If you are getting into a relationship and somebody's pissing you off or you're trying to figure it out, Stop Playing is there to say, are we doing this? Are we not? If you're going from friends and wanting to take that step, Half Crazy there is there for you. If you are in your relationship and you got to deal with a partner who's had a past, Previous Cats, that I'm not Previous Cats, is there for you. If you're the one fucking up, Best Friend is there to tell you how you need to be your best friend for your wife. If you've been in a 45 plus year relationship, Don't change. When one of the best songs on the album is there for you. But then he also does really well. He did it in I Just Want to Sing. First, he starts with the scratch interlude to get the Philly beatboxer Scratch to do his interlude. And then he always has this intermission. He has this intermission in I Just Want to Sing, and it's intermission called Just Listen that kind of like breaks up the monotony. But not only does he have the relationship stuff, but he also has life songs. The song Time is about not wasting time. The song Mother, Father is a dedication to his parents. The song Future is an inspirational song about what you want to do. Every single song on here is just so damn soulful. And every time I listen back to it, and when I was really listening to it extremely deeply in here, I was always thinking maybe people think a lot of these songs like sound the same and repetitive and just kind of a regular groove. But as I keep listening to it, the instrumentation on every single song is fucking amazing. The way they use 808s and drum beats, the guitar riff on Half Crazy is fire. And I'm just going to end off with this. I don't listen to it as much, but I still love the sample of One More Chance by Biggie, which is the sample of the Barger song that he uses for the remix of If I Woulda Knew, which again is a direct sequel to Girl Next Door from I Just Want to Sing. But he ends off the song because If I Woulda Knew was kind of an extra bonus track at 19. He basically ends the album with a cover of Something in the Way that is head and shoulders above the Beatles version.
Whoa,
Head and shoulders above that Beatles version.
Easy.
Full stop.
Easy.
Full stop. I will go by this though. I heard this version of Something in the Way before I heard the Beatles version, and then I was like, "Oh, the Beatles did this. Cool." Yeah, Musiq did this better, man. He did it. He did it better, man. Love this album to death.
Okay, who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I really dug this album. You can tell that he's having a lot of fun, or he's in his wheelhouse making this record. And you can kind of tell all the influences that he has. Like he kind of has the trill of Stevie Wonder in his delivery. I also get a little bit of John Legend because he's very soft. But then he has kind of like the Michael Jackson sort of Usher beats where he kind of like really kind of get the sense of like the swagger that he has.
You're gonna have to flip the John Legend thing because John Legend came out after Musiq.
Oh, okay, sorry. But yeah. What are the ones I want to talk about here? The intermission was really cool. Religious was the first one that I had to like. I'm like, all right, I gotta like. This is the one that's gotta grab my attention. I'll speak on the Something thing because I believe that Best Friend Down, like Best Friend Don't Change, Mother Father Something, and then If I Woulda Knew is the best 5-song ender of any of the albums that we're talking about. I appreciate what he did on Something because in the original version of Something, that's like when you get like the big like Ringo kind of fill of the drums, and that's when they do the key change. He does something really kind of cool, and he saves that key change to near the end, and it's like, okay, you're kind of twisting a little bit, and I dig it. To say that it's better than the original is a bit of a take, but I can understand. I appreciate what he's doing. But I wanted to shout out one person in particular. I believe it's Pablo Batista. Is the drummer. I can't find anybody else with a drummer on the personnel for this album. But on Real Love and Previous Cuts in particular.
I was listening to these back while we were going over some of the other ones just to make sure I know. And then I played Real Love again, and just right at the beginning to go into it. Again, it just kept reminding me of like, if you don't listen to music and you listen to it first time, I wonder if y'all think it's kind of sounds repetitive. And then I was just like, no, they do. It does not. Yeah. Religious, I will say for sure was one of the songs before I really listened to this over and over that I would just run back all the time because I love that song. And if anybody wants to get into it, Musiq Soulchild is considered, because this was out in 2002. He's considered in the crew of R&B singers around the late 90s, early 2000s of neo soul. He's like dead in the neo soul group, the Erykah Badu's, the Jill Scotts, John Legend may be like a later version of that. Why am I forgetting other people? D'Angelo, Lauryn Hill is actually kind of into that as well. Like that kind of movement. The Roots is kind of a little bit in it, but like on the hip hop side, because a lot of it's from Philly. That's where this kind
Music's
of sound came
from.
from. Yeah.
I mean, I'll get to that point later. Jack, I want you to go.
Yeah. This song is basically no skips. I had a great time with this song. Everything from Religious, Half Crazy, Time, Future, fucking Best Friend, Don't Change, and Mother Father. Like there's no shortage of songs on here that I love. It's honestly hard for me to think of one that I didn't like. Every single one just kind of hit. Future and Religious are probably the two that stick out most to me. Like they're the two that kind of hit hardest for me. I also loved Mother Father. That one, if you have a song dedicated to your parents, chances are I'm gonna enjoy it, or that's like about your parents, chances are I'm gonna enjoy it. Those songs always hit for me. I had a great time with this album. Thank you, Rue, for bringing it, because I would have probably never heard it had not been for this.
Go look for I Just Want to Sing. I'm going to type it in the chat because, again, it's him a little less mature, but it's literally like just a prelude to Just Listen, to get you a whole nother album of just amazing music from him.
I'm definitely going to check it out.
So I've heard a handful of Musiq songs in the past, but I've never like listened to an entire album. First of all, Rube, you cheated.
Why did I? Philly.
Because you picked a Philadelphia artist. Like, let me give you guys a 30-minute presentation on why Philadelphia is the most underappreciated city in the history of music. Number one, the Philadelphia sound, leading into neo soul. But seriously, this album is like really great. There is one song that I would skip, and I will say ahead of time, it is just I feel like that one was the production was like something was off with it, and I just couldn't pin what it was. But like, first of all. Dude can fucking sing. Like that dude can fucking sing. Like there's just like there are some artists that when you listen to like multiple songs from them, you're like, oh no, like this is your soul. Like this is like your bloodline. This is like in you. It is people like Otis Redding. Oh my God, why am I suddenly blanking up Prince's name?
Oh my gosh.
I know. Look, I'm tired. I have to wake up at 3:00 tomorrow morning. Early morning shifts are great. But yeah, I would add Musiq Soulchild to that list. You brought up a lot of the songs that I was gonna bring up. Like Religious, for one, is just like so damn good. That is the moment where I went, okay, now I know what I'm in for, and like I'm in for a great experience. I gotta say, Baby Girl's sexy as hell. That song is choice. I really like the latter half of the album. Best Friend, I think, is just like a really, really well written song. Same thing with Don't Change. See, I still like the Beatles version of Something Better, but like,
sure.
Imagine my surprise not realizing that this was on the album. Like, I saw that there was a song called Something, and I just didn't think that that's what would happen. And it is one of the better covers of a song that I've ever heard. Like, it genuinely is one of the best ones, and that's for a song that I truly like think is one of the greatest songs of all time. Yeah, you're right. The drums in this are just like great. Oh my god, Real Love, that groove, that pocket that drum creates is so good. Um, I will say I did kind of feel the length. Like I wasn't necessarily bothered by the length, but I could feel it. But yeah, overall, nah, this album's great. Any last any last thoughts on this one? No? Okay, well,
no.
cool. So Rue, we're gonna go to you first. Score, favorite, least favorite song.
This is a 10 out of 10. The second I was done talking about Commons B, I was like, I'm going Musiq Soulchild next, and the ability for me to just keep playing these songs over and over and fall in love with them again and again. Again, I mix these with the songs from the first album, but just going from front to back and seeing just how, for me, literally no skips whatsoever for 19 straight songs. And I was like, really? That really? Because I thought it was like more of a mix of like 15 and 15. No. All of these songs are on this album. I absolutely love it. If I have a least favorite, it is Caught Up. Caught Up, which is weird because 17 on I Just Want to Sing is the other song that, like, aside from the one I skip, that is also the one I'm like, I got to be in a little bit of a mood to listen to. Caught Up is much better. Caught Up is, I will listen to it every time it plays, but it's the one where, like, I wouldn't, you may have a different song, but when you said the one that beat that doesn't hit, I immediately went to, I wonder if that's Caught Up. Just because I would say it has again, there is soul everywhere, but it has the least amount of soul in it. I don't know. It's a little more radio. It sounds like a radio hit song than the rest of the album that is just from the heart. And funnily enough, I got the Basic Bitch pick for my favorite song because it was his radio hit. And it was the one that, like, everybody was like, who is this dude? Even though I know Just Friends and all his other stuff. Half Crazy is just immaculate. That's the one where the guitar is the standout, to his singing, to just the lyrical content. Everybody had that friend that you're like, do I take that step? Because I am scared if I take that step, and then if you didn't work out, I just want my friend back. And you feel it. You feel it. And I'm gonna bring up the music video because he always wears sunglasses, and it's the one where he took off the glasses and you see the cross eyes, and you're like, oh yes, he is in his feelings, because the man is kind of cross-eyed, so that's why he wears sunglasses all the time. But love Musiq, love this album, love every bit of it. Pure 10 out of 10.
Cool. I'm gonna go next. I'm giving this album a 9. Because there are very few skips on this one. As I said, main problem is you can kind of feel the length, but it's not like it doesn't turn you off necessarily. I'm kind of split. I had like 3 different songs that I have listed on my notes as favorite, and I was going to like just choose, and I couldn't. So I'm just gonna randomly say Real Love. I just really dig that one so much. And the one that I just, like, I could not get into for some reason was Time. Like, I can't tell you exactly why it was, but like that just happens to be the one where I'm like, I'm not feeling this one for some reason. But great album overall. Let's go to Jack next.
Yeah, I'll start off with my score. I am also giving this a 9 out of 10. I loved this. Picking a favorite is going to be way easier for me because, okay, I'll say it. Religious is probably my favorite on this first listen. I plan on going back to this album again. I'm going to listen to his first one and then come back to this one. I mean, least favorite, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just because I like like everything else that just comes afterwards is just banger after banger. I might have to go Newness. I don't know. Like it's
That's the first song, so great.
I know. Every song afterwards is just banger after banger.
That's fair.
Like, unless you're gonna let me go with the scratch interlude, which like I don't know. This album is just fantastic.
All right, Brooklyn.
Okay, so score. Yeah, I think it has to be a 9. I started pretty low, and then as we were talking and as I was kind of like re-listening to the tracks, I was like no, there's an argument here. I think it has a similar issue that Pearl Jam has, where it's like the great songs are really good, and even the ones that are not as good, I think they kind of make you want to go to the other ones, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the other ones are bad. Like they're good, but the ones that are great are really great. Favorite song is going to be tough. I'm going to go with Mother Father, purely because of where it is on the album. I think it's really good for like kind of that. Hey, like we're coming on near the end. Let's kind of give it everything we got, and I feel like that's kind of has the most soul in the record. My least favorite is Newness. I kind of give. This is where I kind of come with the argument that like it was a little bit kind of slow at the start to kind of build up that hype, like until it got to Religious. But my problem with Newness is, and Dylan Van Dyne will understand exactly what I'm saying, because it does the weird like shift from like left to right with the synths.
Oh, the ducking.
Yeah, the ducking. And that is it feels weird on the headphones.
Does that just because I don't know what you're talking about, but does that happen to coincide with them talking to each other? Because it's music and then Aries, and they go back and forth in that song.
I just noticed it on the synth or the keys, because there'd be like they'd hit it and then they have like either like a reverb or an echo, and you'd hear it on one side and then go on the other. But that was the only time that I noticed this.
Cool. Yeah. All right, we're gonna go into the last album. This one being Cameron Holtzman pick, Astoria by Marianas Trench. I've heard this album before. Anyone else?
Yes.
Okay.
The only one who has it.
Honestly, though, I'm not surprised. So I found Marianas Trench a couple years back, actually, when this album was released, because a critic that I really like said that this was his favorite album of the year. It was like between this and Father John Misty that year. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, it sounds really good. And so I gave it a listen, and it is right up my alley. The theatricality of it all is exactly the kind that I like. But it's also an album for me that sounds like it could have been released any time between the 80s and now. So it is a concept album about a relationship, but told through the lens of 80s coming-of-age adventure films. So things like The Goonies and E.T., and stuff like that. And I really dig it. I like the little musical interludes that kind of sound like they have like this kind of like John Williams-esque air to them. I love song. These guys were clearly influenced by people like The Who and Queen. Brooklyn, I'm blanking on the word, but for songs like Astoria and for songs like End of an Era, it's like the different moments of the song when they how they're pieced together.
Like a suite or a medley?
A suite. Thank you. I love songs that can like carry multiple suites and just still bring the whole thing together. I thought that Burning Up and Yesterday were so fun. They sounded like they belonged in Footloose. Yesterday in particular, I felt like I could have heard at the end of that movie. This Means War, I thought was just like really fun as well. Dearly Departed is a song that I flashed back to a friend of mine in college who said, you cannot make a song sad on the ukulele. And then I heard Dearly Departed and I went, nope, you absolutely can make a sad song on a ukulele. Because like once you piece together that it's a song about a guy finding out that his fiance left just before they were about to send out their wedding invitations. Yeah, that one kind of cuts. And then that bridge is actually just a bunch of references to songs that he had written in the past about this girl, like Masterpiece, Truth or Dare, Porcelain. It's just really, really well written. And then you get like fantastic ballads like Wildfire. Yeah, I think that this is a really incredible pop rock piece. So yeah. Anyway,
I'll go last. I'm gonna go last.
I'll go next.
Interesting.
I'll go next. Yeah, no, I really enjoy this album. It's not my favorite Marianas Trench album. I first listened to them when you did the episode on them with Holzman and my other friend from high school that was on. And I don't get me wrong, I still love the album, but I prefer Phantoms slightly in Masterpiece Theater. Those are probably the two that I have above it. This album just hits. I don't think there's very many skips on it. I love everything from like Dearly Departed especially, and Wildfire, which is a phenomenal ballad. I love End of an Era. Obviously the title track is incredible, an incredible song to kick it off with. Yeah, no, I first listened to this on recommendation from Holzman, and I listened to their entire discography over the course of like a work day, and it was fun. Well, their albums, not like everything else, but like all of their albums I listened to in the course of like a work day. It was great. But no, this song or this album is just great. Once again, Dearly Departed, Wildfire. It goes back and forth between the two, but there's very few songs that I can say I don't like, or I don't know if there's any I can say I dislike.
We'll talk about one. Rue.
All right, so you mentioning that it's a concept album through adventure movies or whatever helps it, because no.
I kind of had a gut feeling.
Nah.
You and Holzman do not line up musically.
Nah, you don't.
No, we do not. Not at all. I will tell you this. Just coming out sounding like a musical and sounding performative and sounding like you're on stage on an album. I was like, come on. Like, you heard what I like. I like soul. I like really deep into it. And once This Means War hit, I was like, all right, cool. Because I can get into the pop stuff and poppy stuff. And that's when I started feeling emotions. That's when I started feeling soul. That's when I started feeling like coming from somewhere. All the way up into Who Do You Love? And I was like, yeah, all right, I can start getting into this a much. And then the Never Say Die little thing happened, and then Wildfire went, and I was just like, you motherfuckers. Right back to it. Right back to on stage. Right back to singing to the back of the crowd. I'm not a musical guy for the most part, so like I'm a put it to this is not my style and this is not my thing. But like when I listened to it, I was like, ooh, one, I don't like their voices. Like I just don't.
Yeah.
I will say, I think it was One Love So it might have actually been One Love to that. When One Love hit, I was like, "Ooh, who's this?" All right, because the opener of this song, the person singing here, I'm into this person. So I think I'm gonna give you one extra song there. But it was no, middle was cool, no for me. So
I'm not gonna lie, Rue. I was listening through this one yesterday, and I was like, wait a minute, this is not gonna go well. um, Brooklyn, you wanted to go
Okay.
last.
Yes. So something that I've been kind of holding back, but I guess people might have figured out, considering that I'm from Canada. I'm an old man Marianas Trench fan. Like, you could basically call me a Dearly Departed fan, because all the songs that he references in Dearly Departed are the ones that I like. Like, I loved their early pop punk stuff. So when we got to this, I was like, it's fine. It's absolutely a love letter to the '80s. Like, Andrew was right. They love the Who. They love like Huey Lewis and the News. I think Burning Up is like, Jackson 5, Michael Jackson. My problem though with Burning Up in particular, and like his voice, is that his falsetto kind of tends to hit a plateau. Like, he gets up there and he kind of just hangs out there. He doesn't really like do anything else with it. I do think though that they do, like, they kind of pay homage to their to their punk roots, and they kind of hold on to that. Like, This Means War is great. I think Wildfire, like, despite it being that kind of like very like stage musical kind of song, it does kind of stay true to the roots. I really like the there's like a sustained moment in While We're Young near the end that I think is really cool. But the unfortunate thing is that there were 3 songs, or two for sure, that got played a lot on the radio here. This Means War, and unfortunately, Who Do You Love? I do not like Who Do You Love. It's kind of everything about 2010s pop that I hate. Like the generic sort of drums, the gang vocals that don't really like do a ton, and it just like it got overplayed for me. But and anything else here? Like Astoria is really cool. And then Yesterday is everything that I like about the '80s. It has that like really nice kind of high energy to it. And then like you get the shorter stuff, and they do a good job of using like the adventure kind of like score moments to tie into that. So like I think August Burns Red blends really well into This Means War. But in summary, I am an old man Marianas Trench fan. Give me my pop punk, give me my Shake Tramp, give me my Stutter.
I am glad that I have not listened to this before, because those gang vocals at the beginning of Who Do You Love was a point of like, oh yes, to me. Like, I was like, cool. Oh, this I can get into this. Guess this could good thing I have never heard this before.
So I will say that I think that I completely understand how Josh Ramsey's vocals can be very divisive. Like, he can tend to get a little screechy. And so like I completely understand that. I feel on this album it is a little bit more contained than some of the other albums. The other thing about this album that I personally really loved is the lyricism. I think that it's just unique enough that if you had just showed me the lyrics and not played me any music attached to it, I probably would have at least guessed Mariana's Trench early on, if not right away. Um, Especially on songs like Wildfire, Dearly Departed, as I said before. Shut Up and Kiss Me actually has some really clever lyricism. End of an Era, they start doing like Shakespeare. And the one line from Astoria that always gets me is towards the very end. The quid pro quos that will compose from esoteric to common prose. Like, that's fantastic writing right there to me. But once again, I'm a musical theater major. like I connect with this, so I completely understand how it would throw other people off.
I was
But
like, this is Cam and Andrew's complete thing. This is their jam.
yeah, this is it. This is if the Who were even more flamboyantly theatrical, which I guess I really like, even though I do still think the Who is a better band. All right, so I'm assuming Cam gives this an 11 out of 10.
Probably. No one can.
Yeah,
I would imagine. Yeah.
yeah. So I will go next. This hits all the points that I really love and connect with. So I am going to be a little bit biased in my rating. But for me, it's one of the best pop albums of the 2010s. It is a 9.5. Once again, very biased about that, but I stand by it. My favorite song is Wildfire. I really, really like the writing on that because they change the chorus up every single time that it pops up, and it's just really smart, really clever, and I think it's just the best produced and the best instrumentation. Even though I think Astoria is the more impressive song, and Dearly Departed is the more emotional song. Least favorite, it's the one song that kind of holds it back from me giving it a 10, and it's One Love. I think that one's kind of the most static, the most stale, even though I do think that it is really good. Let's go to Jack next.
Yeah, I'll start with the score again. This is a solid 8.5 for me out of 10. It's not my favorite Marianas Trench album by any means, but it's not it's not my least favorite either. Their first album is definitely my least favorite. But I'll start with next. Like I'll go to my least favorite song, and it's not even a song I dislike. It's just it might suffer a little bit because the best song, in my opinion, on the album, and just one of my favorite Marianas Trench songs in general, comes right after it. And Never Say Die just has the unfortunate position of being right before Wildfire. So Never Say Die, like I still really like it, just not my favorite by any means. And Wildfire, obviously, that's my favorite. I was a musical theater kid from like in grade 11 and grade 12, and so of course I love this album. Of course I love Wildfire. That I could listen to that any day.
Okay, let's go to Brooklyn next.
I am going to give this. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7. I'm gonna stick with my original rating. I'm like Jack, not my favorite. I like my pop punk stuff, but it does have elements of that, and some of the newer stuff does hit. My favorite would be While We're Young, for the same reasons that I just mentioned. My least favorite though would unfortunately be End of an Era.
Wow.
And it's not even one that I like necessarily think is like a bad song. I think production wise it's really cool, but like you know how in How I Met Your Mother that Ted makes bowl weird after you say bowl so many times. That's kind of like Astoria for me. Or like what's the word that they use in I was trying to think of the word that they used in Cats to make like Jellicle. Is that the word?
Jellicle.
Yeah, like after a while, Astoria had no meaning. It was like Astoria could mean anything. It could, yeah.
Just love
So
song.
and that's partially like why I gave it the why I gave it the 7 is that like it's a bit of a letdown for a closer, but that might be just me.
Okay, and Rue, close it out.
I'm giving this a 4.5.
Woo!
Yeah.
I saved you for last.
I might give it a generous 5 because of again the concept, which now allows me to understand a little bit of meaning and stuff. But like again, not something I was into. I'm gonna say positive for last, and I'm gonna go to my least favorite. Was easily a song that sounded like it was meant to be played at the beginning montage scene of High School Musical 3 senior year, and that's Yesterday.
Okay, that makes sense.
This seemed like it's made for a Disney Channel original movie, like dead stop. I was like, no. I genuinely love Dearly Departed. Dearly Departed, from the ukulele to the lyrics to, again, going into the gang vocals towards the end, was really like, where was this? Where was this earlier? Like, I love the heart, the soul, the falsetto sections, the group singing sections, the simplicity of the song, and then building up into something a little bit more grand. That I really, really enjoy.
Nice. All right, so that is it. It is time to get everyone's favorite album that someone else brought. I will go first. I'm not going to pick Astoria because I've heard it before. So obviously the answer is going to be Just Listen. Like, come on, man. That's not fair. Rue, let's go to you.
10 by Pearl Jam. I had a really, really good time listening to it. And Jack, feel very proud. I immediately deleted everything else off of my iPhone except the first half of 10. That's staying. I'm listening to those forever. I really like those songs. Up until Jeremy. The rest of it, again, not bad, but not my thing. Like that. So
I get it. I get it.
Yeah. But 10 was dope. 10 was really, really good.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Jack, let's go to you next then.
Yeah, no. Like you, Bar, it's Just Listen. That's easily my favorite album that was brought here today. Like, yes, I do like Astoria, but Just Listen's on another level for me.
Okay, I want to see if something happens here. Brooklyn.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if it's based off of first listens, then I think it has to be Just Listen, because like 10, I listened to 10, I've listened to Astoria, and I wouldn't say I put great. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Just Listen was great. I thought it was a good little mix of everything.
All right. Well, it happened. So I'm gonna make something up right now before we sign off. Only one other album until this episode has ever had everyone agree as for that album being their favorite that got someone else brought on. So I'm gonna make the Turntable Hall of Fame. So Beloved Paradise Jazz by McKinley Dixon and Just Listen by Musiq Soulchild are going to be the first two entrants into the Turntable Hall of Fame, since considering everybody picked that album. Cam doesn't get a say. So thank you guys all for coming.
Yes.
This was a really great episode again. We don't have the panel nailed down for the next episode yet. The only person who has gotten back to me is Mike motherfucking Hanley. So please join us next month when we have him and two other guests. And so have a great night, y'all. Keep on rocking.
Drive safely.